Hey guys, Mr. Mike here. I got another story that I'm going to be reading for y'all today. And you guys know the drill by now. Before we get started, I'm going to have you take the next couple seconds to review over the text, try to identify the genre, and be looking for key text features that help identify what genre it is, and be thinking about those different key features. You know, if there's illustrations versus photographs, are there headings? Is there a glossary? Do you see dialogue? What kind of things do you see that help determine the genre for you? So take the next 10 seconds. All right. And you should have been able to identify that this was a nonfiction text. The way that I knew it was nonfiction was because, excuse me, it's by the Kansas Historical Society. Okay, that tells me that this is history, so I'm reading about something that happened. Also, I see photographs that have captions with it that are describing actual things that happened. And at the end, there is a glossary that helps tell me what educational terms were in the text. Those things helped lead me to believe and to know that this was a nonfiction text. Also, I see exact dates in there. The dates tell me that this was also a true story, that this was an article or a recap of something that has happened. Now, with that, you should know our genre-based thinking jobs, which is the first T, topic. Second T, what was the text teaching me? Third one, what is the author's point of view? And I reviewed point of view yesterday, so remember that the point of view is what is the author's perspective? What are they trying to teach you? And I'll recap that after I read the story. So, before I read, I'm going to give you the next I'll give you 20 seconds that I want you to fold your paper, title it, give me your genre-based thinking jobs, and write your notes. So like I said, I'm going to give you 20 seconds when I say go. Go. Okay, you have 20 seconds to fold it and get it ready. 5, 4, 3, 2, and okay. So, I'm going to go ahead and read now. Remember, I have questions that I'm going to be asking while I'm reading it that I want you to think about as you write your notes. So, let me go ahead and begin the reading. Grasshopper Plague of 1874 by the Kansas Historical Society. Following the Civil War, many settlers came to Kansas in hopes of finding inexpensive land and a better life. By 1874, many of these newly arrived families had broken the prairie and planted their crops. During that spring and early summer months of the year, the state experienced sufficient rains. Eagerly, the farmers looked forward to the harvest. However, during the heat of summer, a drought occurred. This was not the most devastating thing to happen to the farmers that summer. The invasion began in late July when, without warning, millions of grasshoppers, or Rocky Mountain locusts, descended on the prairies from the Dakotas to Texas. The insects arrived in swarms so large they blocked out the sun and sounded like a rainstorm. Crops were eaten out of the ground, as well as the wool from live sheep and clothing off people's backs. Paper, tree bark, and even wooden tool handles were devoured. Hoppers were reported to have seen several inches deep on the ground, and locomotives could not even get traction because the insects made the rails too slippery. So I want you to think about, using the title in the first two paragraphs, what do you think is the big topic that the author is talking about right now? What is the big idea of this paper? Okay, right here, I see the picture of a fig tree. And the reason I know it's a fig tree is because the caption says a fig tree stripped off its foliage and bark from a locust plague. Okay, so the foliage, that's talking about the leaves. So picture a tree with no bark and no leaves. Okay, that's what the locust did. As a whole, Kansas refused to be defeated. The settlers did their best to stop the hoppers by raking them into piles like leaves and burning them. But these efforts were in vain because of the sheer number of the pests. Inventive citizens built hopper dozers or grasshopper harvesters to combat future visitations. The hoppers usually stayed from 2 days to a week and then left as they had come on the wind. And then now I see a picture where it says Americans try to flag thousands of invading locusts into a trap. How do these pictures help support or add the information that we are learning in the text? Why do you think the Kansas Historical Society included those two pictures in this article? What are they trying to get you to understand? The areas hit the worst where most of the settlers were new arrivals, not having had the time to establish themselves in their new homes. The needs of the newly arrived immigrants in the western counties of Kansas were greater than the more settled eastern portion. They needed grain for their next year's crops and to feed their work animals. They also needed provisions and clothing to make it through the coming winter. In September, the governor convened an extra session of the legislature hoping to find a way to help Kansas survive the calamity. The legislature determined that it did not have the power to take money directly from the state's treasury to help with the emergency. The plea for help went across America. Soon aid for the destitute, Kansas began to arrive. Railroads provided free transportation of the barrels, boxes, and bales of supplies such as beans, pork, and rice. America's farmers even donated rail cars full of barley and corn to assist Kansas with the next year's planting. Now, based on everything we've read, what do you think is the author's point of view? And with that, remember, okay, the author point of view talks about what the author's viewpoint is or the stance that the author takes on the topic, okay, or their perspective. Looking at the facts and the details given in the text, why do you think the author put those in there? What is their viewpoint? What is their stance? And remember, it's something found throughout the article. It's not just going to be in one paragraph. What can you see as a trend through every paragraph and through the facts and the details and the images given to you? What was the author trying to do? So, keep all that in mind. As you move on, you're going to have a quick little quiz after this story. Then you get to watch a video, and you're going to answer some questions on the video. And then you have another narrative race response at the end. And remember, narrative is just continuing the story. So, I think this is going to be pretty cool. I think you guys will like it. Remember, in narrative, there's not really any right or wrong way to write it. You're just creating a story. So think about the prompt that I give you and how you can create a story revolving around what I asked you to do. So, hope you guys enjoyed the story, and I look forward to reading the narratives. I know Mr. Jordan does too. Talk to you later, guys.